Hello everyone. Today is your first flip lesson for history. Our focus will be on World War I in Europe. World War I in Europe started in 1914. Many of the European leaders had thought that the war would end in a matter of months. They also believed that their nations would come out the victors and bask in the victory of the war. Much to their disappointment, the war took 4 long years. It culminated in much death and destruction. The war brought about tremendous changes in the economic, political, and social structure of Europe, which we will explore in greater depth in the second video. For this lesson, our focus will be to answer the key question: why did World War I break out? Before we answer that question, let us take a look at what Europe looked like in 1914. Some of the powerful nations in Europe included Russia, Germany, Austria-Hungary. Let's explore more about the powerful nations in Europe. Russia had the largest empire in Europe at the time. It was ruled by the Tsar Nicholas. Although it was the largest empire, it was not the strongest empire. This was due to the fact that the army was ill-equipped and consisted of poorly trained soldiers. Then you have Germany, which was comparatively smaller than Russia. It had an ambitious ruler who ensured that Germany had the best trained and most well-equipped army in Europe. Thirdly, you have Britain, which was the strongest naval power in Europe. It also had the largest colonial empire. Next, you have France. France had poor relations with Germany as it had been invaded by Germany in the past. Last but not least, you have Austria-Hungary, which was made up of people of different ethnicities who spoke different languages and had different religious beliefs. And not surprisingly, it was therefore unstable and a divided empire. Having understood what Europe looked like in 1914, let us look at the reasons for the outbreak of World War I. One of the reasons was competition for colonies. Britain had several colonies in Asia and Africa. Other European nations desired to be like Britain. Why? Control of colonies enhanced a country's prestige. The more colonies you had, the more powerful you were. That's not all. Control of colonies also meant access to raw materials and wealth. Therefore, competition for colonies led to tension between countries in Europe. This in turn led to misunderstanding and paved the way for the outbreak of World War I. So far, we have completed competition for colonies as a reason for the outbreak of World War I. Another reason for the outbreak of World War I is the arms and naval race between the European nations. Countries desired for power and security. Hence, they built stronger and bigger armies and navies. The arms and naval race caused suspicion to develop between countries, as each worried that the other might attack it or take over its colonies. Take a quick look at the table showing the arms and naval production between 1870 to 1914. It tells you that European nations were determined to strengthen themselves and ensure that no other nations threatened them. The third and final reason we will be exploring in this video is the alliance system. The alliance system that existed between nations also contributed to the outbreak of World War I. By 1914, a system of friendship existed between Britain, France, and Russia. Another set of alliance existed between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Each of these nations made the promise that it will lend its assistance to any of its allies in times of need. This eventually dragged nations into war.